authors. Welcome to Author Nation. I am Melody Ann Owen, your host and the founder of Author Nation. Author Nation is the place to be if you want to be a successful nonfiction author. And if that's you, join today. The link is scrolling past you right now, authornationtube.com/join. All right, today I have a really special guest because we're going to be talking about social media for authors. And I think that is one area where we all need a lot of work. Brandie Rode is the founder of Success on Social, a social media marketer with a passion for the marketing industry. She offers a unique business experience. Unique business experience with a customized strategy that lets clients present their authentic stories. She helps her clients go from overwhelmed to feeling empowered with the strategies that will attract clients. With 15 years of marketing experience, she is here to share her knowledge that she has tested that has created a path to her sustainable success. Let's welcome Brandie Rode. Hi, Brandie. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, Melody. Thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Okay, first thing, did you hear the most recent social media news? I just saw it.
What is that?
Elon Musk is currently working on a hostile takeover of Twitter.
I did not hear that.
It just dropped right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so are you a Twitter fan?
I am a Twitter fan. I do enjoy being on it. I like it because it's live, it's instant news. Unfortunately, on my side doing social media, I'd have to have an entire another computer to try and keep up with it all day long. So I do like to go in and check in and see what's going on.
Yeah. Oh no, that it just I don't expect you to know it
Yeah.
just happened. Right. Something else I know about you is you have a book club. So
I
are you
do.
reading a book right now with your book club? And if yes, what is it?
I am reading a book club. I do in my book club right now. We are reading a book. I think some of us have finished. I do have to kind of get back in there and sort of do a bit of a follow up with it. I like to be able to bring authors on to be able to read their books with my audience and have sort of like a top book to read. So that's exciting. If you're interested, make sure to drop me a note. I'd love to have you in the book club. Right now, we are reading a book from one of my dear friends, author Darcy Lang, and we are reading Leading the 90%. Lead the
Wow,
90%, sorry.
that's super exciting. Super exciting. Thank you. Okay, so if you are out there, a nonfiction author, a business book, and you want to be part of a book club, contact Brandie Rode. She has a book club. I think that's super exciting. Thank you, Brandie. All right, you talk about authentic stories.
Yes.
So I think I'd really like to start with your story.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't want to sit here and try and age myself, I don't think, but I think my story starts from 20 years ago. It's actually kind of an interesting one, and it sort of really brings in how the universe just really kind of connects people. So 20 years ago, I had a daughter, 21 years ago, realistically. So I met this beautiful woman in a library club, honestly, and it was a mother's kind of a group to take your small children and sort of get to know each other and be able to just engage with where everybody is kind of in life. And I met this beautiful woman there. Of course, it was Darcy Lang, and we just had this incredible friendship. And what ended up inspiring from that was that I didn't know is she, as an entrepreneur, is a motivational speaker. So basically, as she grew in her business, wrote her books, she's got three out right now, coming into her fourth. But I actually started working with her and promoting and helping her with her business for the last 20 years. And so we started on paper before, social media was even really a thing. So the interesting thing was going kind of from paper into social media, watching that growth and just enjoying the whole process of it. So today, I just feel so honored to be able to work with so many other people and other authors as well to be able to help them on the social media part because it's all something that I have to learn and create on my own as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. And as you said, you work with authors, which is beautiful. This is why you're here.
Right.
And I'm so pleased because I know lots of authors and not just authors, but everyone, you wake up every day going, what am I going to put on
I
social
know.
media today? Right. Like that whole struggle, right? And
Yeah.
something I loved about before the show, what we were talking about is you help people go from that overwhelmed
Yeah.
to empowered. And I've very rarely met any social media gurus who say, not only will I help you with your social media, I'll move you from that place of, oh my God, what am I going to post
Right.
today, to I know I've got a plan. I've got it. So why is that a goal and a passion of yours? Like, why is that part of the business?
I think I just love to watch people succeed. It's just a passion of mine. So not only do I enjoy doing it for myself, I think as I started to do it at the beginning, I would have friends that would say, "Hey, like you're really good at that, and can you do that for me, or can you teach me how to do that?" And the passion became more doing it for other people and helping and giving back. So as I grew my business for myself on what I was doing at that particular time, it was more fun for me to grow them and watch them grow and watch them be so excited. So it's just been something that I have really enjoyed to do. And with social media, when we are realistically trying to tell our authentic story, we really need to remember it's who we are. It's what we're about. It's not always, salesy. We are trying to promote somebody, but we're also real people. And the audience that we are trying to bring to social media are also real people. And I think that's what we forget. So it's not about the followers all the time. I've got clients, corporations that have thousands of followers, and they'll have, not that many likes or that much engagement on a post because it's more corporate. Where I've got some people that will have, 300 followers, and they've got, 80% of those followers are engaged and interacting with them because it is a true audience that they are creating within the authenticity of themselves.
You make a really, really good point there, and I want to dig into that later. But just before we go there, I want to ask you, what are a couple of suggestions you have for authors who are feeling overwhelmed? How do we move from that overwhelm to, feeling happier, positive, or empowered around social media?
I think it really starts by, starting on the first platform that you feel most comfortable with, not get so overwhelmed that you feel you have to be on every single one of them. It's not about, it's not a popularity contest. The people that, as an author, you've got accountability, and you need to remember that what you're doing is you've got real people that are following you, and you want to keep that. So you want to stay live with those people, and you want to be consistent. And if it's easier to be consistent on one platform at that time, then that's all that you need. Your followers, not only just your audience, they're your fans. So they're following you for a reason. And because they're your fans and want to know what you're writing and what you have to offer, they will find you. Once you have that and you can feel comfortable within that platform, then branch out by all means and start to see what all the other platforms have to offer, because they really are all different.
Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice. Another one I've heard is, and I think part of the reason we feel overwhelmed is we feel like we have to talk about ourselves all the time and
Yeah,
somehow sell ourselves all the time. And one thing I often say to authors is, take if that's part of the problem, take yourself out of the equation and focus on your ideas rather
right.
than yourself. Is that
Yes.
something you might suggest?
Yeah, absolutely. I would suggest that. Yes. And and that's sort of when we'll kind of talk about your strategies and that kind of stuff, because I find that when you sort of panic and you don't know what to what am I going to post today, and I don't even know what to do, and I've got all these things I have to do. So I think when you've got sort of like a goal or a plan, remember it's what your audience wants to hear and what you want to give to your audience. It's not always it's about you, but it doesn't always have to be about you, right?
Yeah.
So I think to feel a little bit less overwhelmed and a little bit more empowered as well with an author is you've got a team. You've got people who help you with things, people who help read your books for you. You've got editors. You've got a really great team of support. So the other thing that is really important with social media is if that's what you're feeling and you are feeling overwhelmed, it is a really good idea to hire someone who can help you market or teach you how to market and take some of that stress off and just have someone who's going to support you and want to market you as authentic as you are.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And if for the members of Author Nation, you have an entire community of authors to cheer you on and help you out with that. So
Yeah.
absolutely. So let's talk about social media strategy. What does a good social media strategy look like?
Well, I think it's one of those words when you're a marketer, strategy is very important. Of course, it is for everybody, not just for us. But what I mean by that is, I think when we say that word, I think it actually scares people. Like they feel they need to have something. Oh God, I need a strategy, and I don't know how to do a strategy. But it's really not that difficult. It's just, it's really where your plan is. So what I do is every single month, I am old school. I have to admit, I like to have I take a calendar off of a piece of paper. From that calendar, I like to give myself a theme. What do I want this month? What's going on this month? What are all of my vacations or long weekends or stat holidays that are going on this month? And you break that down first. Create your theme. From your theme, you can kind of then go and have a plan. You still want to be able to talk about yourself because you're going to have new followers and they're going to want to know who you are. So that's always one thing to have. I say off of a strategy, it's great to have 5 pillars. So that's 5 different days that you would talk or do something different for your audience. One thing might be a give back where you've got a free PDF that's going to benefit somebody that they can have. You're going to want to talk about yourself a little bit because, like I said, as you have new followers, they're going to want to get to know you, and you still want to make sure that you're still creating relationships with the people that are already following you, and as well as the new followers that you're going to have. So there's 5 different you can do. One day could be a quote day that kind of releases a little bit of stress of having to, come up with all these things of what you think you have to do. So strategy really isn't anything different between a plan, set your goals, what you want to give back to your audience. And the reason why we have a strategy is because at the end of the day, when that month is over, we can look back and we can look at what worked. So it gives us accountability to say, hey, you know what? They loved that quote that I did this month, or they loved, when I talked about tidbits about my new book that's coming out. You might want a sneak peek or a preview. So they might be really excited because they're going to be a part of the book that you're going to be launching in a month. So there's ways to be able to create a strategy that doesn't make it seem like, I need a strategy.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. I love that answer. Thank you. And you make a good point that it doesn't have to be, you're not planning 10 years out.
Right.
You're just saying, why am I on social media? What do I want out of it? How can I help other people? What can I do this month to move me closer to those goals? All
Yes.
right. So, yeah. So if
That
you're,
you could say, and like realistically, at the bottom of it, like at the bottom line is have fun, have some fun with it. It doesn't always have to be so serious. Social media can let them know that you are a fun person too, and it's sometimes we get so overwhelmed with what we need to create. Or if you, as a writer, maybe you're a content creator, and it's so it's kind of heavy. So it's just to have some fun.
absolutely. All right. If you are watching live, feel free to drop a comment, ask a question. And if you're watching on the replay, there is a lot more coming. Stay tuned. So the next question. Okay. So you talked about, being overwhelmed. If you could only do one, just do one. If for authors, what might be that one? Does it matter? Or is there one that might be better?
I think that it is just the one that you feel most comfortable on. Now, having said that, all the 3 platforms that I use the most is going to be your Facebook, your Instagram, and your LinkedIn. Now, all 3 of those are quite different, so it depends on where you would really like to be able to present yourself first. Facebook is a really great starting point. I believe even for my own business, I started on Facebook. I think we all kind of started on Facebook, or anybody that's within our age or my age definitely started on Facebook. If Facebook is your platform, I do highly recommend that you have a business account and not just to use your own personal. There's lots of benefits off of Facebook with the whole new meta system that's coming out. There's lots of more options that you have to be able to create that business page within Facebook. But Facebook is more, sorry, Facebook is more of a community. So with it being more community based,
Have some water. Yeah, always have some water. Well done.
oh my goodness.
Dry throat.
So Facebook is more community based, and they got discussion groups that you can join. Oh.
Yeah. Take a moment, take a breath, have a sip of water. You put something dry in your throat.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. It happens.
With Facebook, it's more community based, and you can join discussion groups with other people to be able to talk about your book and to be able to engage with more people outside of just that one platform.
Yeah.
So that's probably where I would start. Instagram is a little bit different. With Instagram, it's more of a designed kind of a site. On your feed, you've got more, you should have your logo kind of on there, more of a branding type of concept. More a branding type of concept. And it's more of a platform that is going to be for awareness. So it's more worldly than Facebook is more sort of community. So with Instagram, you want to make sure that your pictures are going to be very high quality. In Instagram, you've got 30 seconds to be able to show your audience exactly what you have to offer before you even get to content. So you got to make sure that that picture is going to be able to grab the audience awareness in order for them to want to engage with you. LinkedIn, I really like. I'm actually having LinkedIn to be a little bit more one of my favorites. And the reason is because it's a place in the community where you can have an opinion. You can put out like news reports. You can have like, hey, I saw this today. What do you think? You know, LinkedIn is a platform where it doesn't have to be so personal. It can be, it can be more about, you know, news and different topics.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. I'd like to break each one down just a little bit more. So, you know, for example, Facebook. My kids are not on Facebook, right? You know, that's not their place. So it's Facebook. You know, who's on Facebook? I think that's the question.
There's like 2.8 million people on Facebook. So really it is a very interactive community. So the thing that a lot of people don't know is that with the meta system and the way that it works today, is Facebook and Instagram are actually owned by the same company. So the importance of that is when you go back into the inside of your social media, is you have to understand the algorithm that this company is going to be able to allow you to have. So a lot of people don't know that you might have 500 people on Facebook as far as that's following you. But if you're not using Instagram or using some of the other options and tools within the meta system, your algorithm, you're only going to probably put out 10% of your posts for people to be able to see that are within your following. So it's always really, really important to have that algorithm there, have people that you're going to be communicating with on Instagram and on Facebook. Now, if that's a little bit overwhelming, it's good to be able to start with the community of Facebook and just have Instagram as sort of like a nice looking feed that people can kind of relate to. But Facebook is pretty much a staple, I think, and it's really great to be able to share and join the groups and the discussions to be able to have Facebook interact with, you know, being an author on all levels that you possibly can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, Instagram. So my kids are on Instagram. So
Yeah.
I know that, you know, more younger people are on Instagram than Facebook. And what I note about Instagram is you have all these choices. Like Facebook, you have a feed and you have a group, right?
Yeah.
On Instagram, you have reels and you have posts and you have stories. And I guess Facebook, you have stories too. But I just, you like there's, Instagram seems to have a lot of different choices. And I think one of the big questions people have is, when do I make a post? When do I make a story? And when do I make a reel?
And that's the overwhelming part, right? And that's where we need to kind of break it down. And again, where you're most comfortable at. I know lots of businesses where, like I'll have a client, she's like, I am not dancing on Instagram. It's just not going to happen. So there is lots of ways that you can still be able to have a story. Like lots of times in your Instagram feed, you're able to share that to a story. So you can still have the awareness of what you're posting within your feed onto a story. The thing is that I think today we've all adapted a habit of having, a small percentage of ADHD. So we like things that are instant. So stories to everybody on Instagram, they're instant. Like lots of times people will sit there and just click story after story after story after story. It's like TikTok. Like we get lost in TikTok. 5 hours later, we think it's 5 minutes. So stories are a really fast way to get the biggest audience that you possibly can, because not everybody is going to go through your feed. So if you're uncomfortable, don't want to be live or on video or do the biggest TikTok dance that's hitting the vibes these days, is you are able to use that post and have it go up into a story. So you're still getting your content out and you're still getting the awareness of all of the people that are going through the stories, rather than having them be directed and like follow through your feed. So there's different ways of how you can do that. In your strategy, you could say, I want 2 stories a week, but I want, a post up 4 out of the 7 days of the week. So the easiest way is to share your feed to your story and still make sure that you're engaging with people that aren't necessarily.
Yeah. So on Instagram, then what's the difference between a story and a reel?
Well, they are actually, a story is something that is going to pop up at the top, and you can share and continue to have those to your highlights. The really cool thing is now that reels have evolved and everybody loves them, there's always new things coming out. Like even for me as a marketer, the first thing I have to do in the morning is take a look at what all the new tools and platforms and stuff that's hit every single thing. So it's reels. Reels are, you want to be able to, reels are like TikTok basically, right? So you'll even see on reels that some people have a TikTok and it's not necessarily like that base, like, that was created. So reels can be shared now to your highlights, I believe, not necessarily to your story, but it's a reel will get shared to your feed. So you can have the video go to your feed, and it's just a matter of capturing people from different areas so that you're constantly getting your information and everything that you need for your audience out there. So a reel is fun to have. Some are kind of fun to do. They've got the voiceovers these days and the different kind of ones that they have that are most popular, the music that they've got going on. And then your stories are going to be just basically where your highlights end up being at the top of your feed. So just a matter of playing around, seeing what works too, really following the algorithm and how many people are following you from a reel to a story to your feed. It's an incredible balance. I think the answer to your question would be the best way again is to have someone be able to guide you, teach you, and grow you so that it is a lot simpler and it doesn't seem like it's so much at one time.
Right. So if I understand correctly, reels and posts are in your feed, and stories are the things along the top that you have to choose to watch. And so if some people will only choose to watch your stories if they're truly interested in you, whereas as they're scrolling through their Instagram, they may see your posts and your reels.
Yeah, like reels are going to show up on your feed. The stories are kind of done. Like, you will see up at the top, it's kind of like Facebook where it will have a Facebook Live, there's a circle. They do last for 24 hours. And after 24 hours, they can go into a highlight where they can remain. So you have to switch it from that story, pop it in your highlight. And sometimes a highlight then, it might be, say you've written 4 books. You might have all 4 books in that highlight. And it's just faster place for your audience to go, so they don't have to try and find that post all the way down that feed and say like, oh, well, what book was that again? I can't remember. So you can have that in a highlight and keep it active.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. All right, let's talk about LinkedIn, because it's actually one of my favorites as well.
Okay.
Yes, we are currently live on LinkedIn, and to be live on LinkedIn, you have to become a LinkedIn creator, which is a bit of an application and whatnot. But it was absolutely worth doing, and I love being a LinkedIn creator.
Yeah.
So tell us about LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is just a fun site. It's very, it's it gives you a little bit, it's like a playground. I always find, like, I like to go, like, I get excited once I've kind of done, like my marketing within the day, because I like to kind of go on LinkedIn and play. It's a site where you get to know about people, but again, it's about, events that are going on. You get to, people get to know you, I think, a little bit more on a personal level on LinkedIn than anywhere else, because you're trying to have such an awareness and an audience on the other sites. But with LinkedIn, you just get to kind of have some fun, have some opinions. You can kind of share other people's stories. So, if you've got one author, I've got a client who it's a husband and wife, and they're both authors. So the business to business within LinkedIn is a lot of fun, because you can really share between both of their sites and grow them both at the same time. So I like LinkedIn because it doesn't seem so serious. It's more of a business type of place to be, for sure. It's a very professional site, and more than any. But I like to be able to share the opinions, share the news. I can share other marketers stuff that I actually really enjoy, and I like to watch, without feeling threatened that I might guide my audience towards them. It's not like that whatsoever. So I do like LinkedIn. It's a really fun site to be able to play around once you can kind of get the gist of it.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about LinkedIn is the networking. I find that the connections are more real than they are on Facebook or Instagram, at least for me,
Yeah,
right? When we're
they
talking
are.
about thing, and I interviewed someone on Monday, and they were having another talk with someone on Thursday. So as soon as we were done, I promoted that out. The
Right.
person who was interviewing them on Thursday then messaged me,
Yeah.
and I got to know new people just by
Yeah.
saying, hey, the person I interviewed is being interviewed again. And so I find LinkedIn is a really people are there to support each other. So that's something I really love about it.
Yeah, it's a great support system, and I like the fact that you really, when you connect with somebody, you're connecting with them for a reason. It's not like
Mhm.
Facebook or Instagram where it's like, oh, I've got 30 new followers, and you have no idea who they even are. So
Yeah.
with LinkedIn, you get their whole profile, you get to see what they do, what their business is, how it, like, you're able to connect with them within your own business. And the other thing I like about LinkedIn is you are able to do like the private messaging without being like an advertisement or salesy, because you already know what they do. You get a whole profile of who they are. You don't need to research it first and be able to figure stuff out. Normally on LinkedIn is where your leads, a lot of your leads would realistically come from, would be more of a LinkedIn channel.
Yeah. Well, if you're writing a business book, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Let's talk a little bit about TikTok, because my guess is that some of the authors they're going, TikTok, it's all about dancing, and it's actually not,
It
right?
is.
It can be there's a political side, there's a lot of authors on there. There is the dancing challenge too, but
Yeah.
it's actually there's quite a lot of variety of people out on TikTok. Can you tell us a little bit more about TikTok and what it is?
Yeah, well, it's funny because the TikTok actually took over. They ended up blowing the doors down on every other site this year. They even beat Facebook. So TikTok is like the number one right now. Now, the interesting thing about that is with TikTok, it is realistically the same as Reels, what would be for Instagram. So
Mm-hmm.
actually, you can even make a TikTok now, which I find kind of funny, but you can actually even make a TikTok now and have it go onto a reel. You can have it on TikTok and on Reels. So
Yeah.
they're really making it versatile for everybody. It's a very friendly platform, really. Yeah, you can keep with the trends and you can do your jig on there and dance and do all that kind of stuff. But as an author, it might be an area for you to be able to talk about your book that gets out to millions of people. you might read a chapter from it. You might give a sneak peek. You might, if you're getting your cover done, you could kind of do a glimpse of what the cover of the book's going to look like because you're putting it together. So the thing about TikTok is you're not just putting something onto a platform or not just putting content together. It is literally going out to millions of people. And that is a channel where you actually have the opportunity to just be yourself. So just to be on TikTok and let people know and introduce yourself on what you have to offer is an incredible opportunity.
Yeah. And you can talk back to people on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
So if someone has a reel, you can grab that reel, play part of it, and then you can respond to it. So you can have conversations, hopefully not vicious arguments, but you can have conversations, dialogue in some form on TikTok as well, which a lot of people really like.
There are so many tools. We'd be here for 10 hours trying to, discover everything that's on there. I even like the ones where you're able to, talk beside somebody. So if somebody's got some really great advice, I've actually used that in my business as well. As if there's a marketer that's giving some really good advice and I want to be able to just share it instead of having to, create it into my own, redo it and trying to do it myself. I can just kind of sit there and point over and let people know that, like, hey, this is a really great idea, or this is the new trend, or this is a new, a new to TikTok that you can share without having to recreate it all the time. So it's a great platform to be able to, again, kind of like LinkedIn, just be able to share what other people have to say as well.
Yeah. Yeah, my impression is TikTok can be a lot of fun. Yeah. Let's talk about Twitter. At one point, Twitter was a really, really good place for authors. I'm not sure it is still as good as it was at one time. But what are people doing on Twitter these days?
I think for myself, I use Twitter just for more news based because Twitter is very live. So I don't really do a lot of marketing on Twitter. But if it's like a new campaign that I'm putting out, or if I'm, like with this book that I'm going to be doing, it's going to be like, coming out in May. It's going to be really big snippets of news because then you're always keeping it active continuously. And people are going to follow it a lot more than if you kind of went on there and put on content and put on this or put a photo. Nobody cares. So what they want on Twitter is they want like right now, right now, right now. So I always just put snippets of news out there, like coming out soon, 30 more days, and free book registrations, things like that. So that's the kind of stuff that I use for Twitter personally.
Yeah, and well, apparently, if Elon Musk has anything to do with it, if his hostile takeover is successful, Twitter will, and because what he said was the reason he's doing it is he thinks Twitter has a lot of potential, and he wants to tap into that potential. And I think he means like politically, as in like social justice, changing the world kind of potential, because it is, as you say, it's news, it's so instant. This is happening here, everyone right now, like crowdsource to support this person on death row or whatever it is.
Yeah,
so exactly. If Elon Musk has any say in it, it may be changing very, very drastically as it moves forward. So yeah,
I think you're right. I mean, we drive by somewhere, and if there's a car accident, the first thing you do is go on Twitter because you know that someone else is putting up there what happened or who it is, or someone's related to them. Like it's instant news. So Twitter is very good. I would like to see them grow a little bit and be on that worldly side on like having more politics out there so that we can keep up with things. It's going to be, I think Twitter has a great potential if it starts to take hold.
Yeah, so if Elon Musk gets his hands on it, right? Yeah, excellent.
For sure. Then it'll be something definitely to watch and see where it ends up. That's for sure. All these other accounts are hitting the roof. So Twitter is going to be right behind them, I can only imagine.
Yeah. So if an author is looking for help, because we've just talked about only 5 platforms. There are more, but kind of the 5 biggest platforms. And as I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, there are reels and there are stories and there's Facebook stories and there are Instagram stories and there's TikTok and there's right. So, at this point, everyone watching is like, I need help. So how do we find the right person to help us?
Well, I think it's just all about connection and who you feel comfortable with. I think it's really important to find someone who's going to actually understand your story and be able to promote you the best way that that person can. There's lots of us social marketers out there that always want to be able to help people, but it's one person that you can really connect with to make sure that your story is getting across the best way that you know how. So I wouldn't even worry about the platform that you want to be on. I wouldn't worry about that at all to begin with, because every one of us can help you to find out where your success on social media is going to be. But I think what's most important is getting to know you and what your goals are. What are you looking for out of your audience? What you're able to give back, and make sure you're really able to work with that person, not just have them on your team that they can do a really good job, but make sure that you know from heart they're going to do a really good job.
Yeah. Pardon me. And you just said something that I think is really, really important. You said somebody who knows or is willing to get to know you and your story. And I'm just going to add to that, and believes in your ideas and believes in what you're doing. So if somebody truly believes that in you, then they're going to go out on whatever social media platform it is and speak of you in a way that is that's going to attract the right people to you, right?
Definitely.
So yeah,
And
more.
best interest. Like, I mean, any social marketer can go on there, and like you'll be able to tell whether it's genuine or not, right? Like, you really want to be able to have someone that can promote you for who you really are and understand that. Sometimes
Yeah.
I find that, and no offense to it, but sometimes I find when you hire more on like a corporate type of side or a business within marketing, you are getting exactly what you pay for, but you might not be getting the authenticity that you're looking for, the genuine person that is excited because they're growing with you. So there is a little bit of a difference there. It just really depends on what you're looking for. But I think on platforms, the biggest thing is to have someone who is in your best interest and wants to watch you succeed.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. A lot of people can help you, but who is it who's going to go out there and really champion you is a really good question. Yeah, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about your projects and what you're working on. So do you have any kind of aside from social media necessarily, do you have any projects you're working on that you'd like to tell us about?
I do actually. I have to say that out of all of the inspiration that I've had in my life, and the support, I mean, even from you, Melody, with Author Nation, like, it's incredible. So it's really been a great year for me, and I am very excited to announce that I am too actually writing my own book, and I do hope that it comes out this year. So the support that I've had from everybody and from your group is just it's very motivational, and it encourages me to continually keep writing, stay on track, and have my own. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, and thank you for those kind words. That's actually very kind of you to say. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the book? Just
Sure.
like give us like the 2 minute or the 1 minute, just like the teaser. Give us the teaser.
Well, I think I personally like to speak from my own experiences. And some of my stories are ridiculous and funny, and I think very inspiring for other people. The types of marketing books that I've had to learn from for where I am today are very, like, you've got your Instagram for dummies, or you've got, your books that you can, how to do this and how to do that, your self-help social media books. But there really aren't very many of them, and it is actually trial and error. So I'd like to be able to write a book where I can help other people that would like to be able to not be so overwhelmed and know that there's funny stories, and sometimes the link doesn't work, and sometimes this is an epic fail, and it's okay, because the audience that's going to follow you and does follow you again are your fans, and they're okay with that too. So I've got some funny stories that I'm going to put in the book. And I think it would just be a really great book to be able to, on a personal level, follow me how to be successful on social. And not only that, but my favorite platforms, my favorite programs that I use to be able to get where I am today, because it took me 2.5 years to find some of these programs. And
Mm,
I don't want to have someone else go through all of that, and it should be an easy, kind of like a step by step book. And even if you don't use those programs, at least you're aware of them and you have the option to choose what you prefer.
yeah. So it sounds like a fun way to learn about social media strategy and social media tactics while integrating your stories of your, your struggles and your successes. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Excellent. If anyone out there is listening and wants to get a hold of you, I know they can find you at successonsocialmarketing.com. What's a good way to get a hold of you?
Usually it's going to be on whatever platform you use. I am on all of them.
Yeah.
So Success on Social is on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm definitely on LinkedIn. And I do hope soon to be on YouTube as well. So I'd love for you to follow me.
Yeah, perfect. So every one of those happens to be in the description. I usually don't put quite as many links in the description as I did today, but because you're a marketer, a social media marketer, I put all of your social links in the description. So if you'd like to reach out to Brandie, you can reach out to her in whichever way you want to by going to the description and finding the your favorite social media platform. Brandie, thank you for joining us today and for all of the valuable information you've brought us.
Thank you, Melody. I really enjoyed being on here, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. So next week, I'm taking a tiny little break, and then I'll be back the following week. So look for me then. Until then, keep writing, keep promoting, and have a wonderful, sunny, I hope, wonderful sunny days ahead. All right. Bye-bye.